The demo for Tales of Arise is out, and I've been itching to get my hands on the game to see if it's either a return to form for the series or a nice next step. And the few hours I spent messing around in the demo have given me a decent impression on what to expect going to the full release. A reminder to everyone that the goal for 2021 here on the channel is to reach 5,000 subscribers, and with your help I know we can do it. So leave a like, subscribe if you haven't, and share this video with your friends if you like it. And just a bit of a disclaimer, my thoughts on this are from the perspective of someone that's been playing the Tales series for around 2 decades and has played every main entry or mothership title, both localized and non-localized. Now with that said, the main things I'm going to talk about are the characters, battle system, and mechanics found within the Tales of Arise demo. I'd love to talk about the story, but unfortunately there really isn't any of it in the demo. But despite this, it gives you a good feel for the characters and what they're all about, and their interactions and the few skits you have available to you. Speaking of the skits, you may have heard or seen by now that the classic style of skits is gone, and in its place are these new comic panel-esque transitions similar to what we saw a bit earlier in the year with Scarlet Nexus. And honestly, I don't care for them. They don't do anything for me, and from the few skits I saw in the demo, they do very little to add to the immersion or presentation of the game. The skits themselves weren't bad, given the usual exposition or character interaction any fan would be familiar with, though there was one in particular that went on for what seemed like 5 minutes, which may not sound long on paper, but definitely lasted longer than it needed to. All in all, though they tried to spice them up, the skits are still skits. Now, let's talk about the gameplay. Going in, this was my biggest worry. I was not a fan of Zestiria or Berseria's combat system, so I was really anxious about whether Arise's system would be for me or not. And after spending a few hours testing out every single character extensively, I can safely say, I like it. I don't love it, but I like it. They brought back normal attacks, which I'm very grateful for, and now you have 3 Rs assigned to face buttons for the ground, and 3 assigned for when you're in the air. I'm fine with this in concept. My only issue is that ground and air arts are different, and only having 3 slots for each can feel really limiting about what moves you can have assigned. Like imagine having 10 ground moves available but only being able to use 3 at any given time. It feels really stifling, and I hope the final release has a shortcut feature like past games where you can assign more. Certain ground moves flow into aerial moves and vice versa, and thankfully when moves do this are marked by arrows, making them very easy to distinguish and giving you a nice idea of what you can do for combo potential. And speaking of combo potential, it's front and center here. Despite playing every major Tales game, I don't consider myself a combo expert by any stretch of the imagination. I'm not one of those guys that's going to make a 100 hit combo video with Judith from Vesperia without repeating any arts or anything like that. But even I was pulling off flashy and satisfying combos with most characters with ease in this. Main character Alpha in particular is beginner friendly and took very little effort to string moves together with. My favorite character to use ended up being Kisara. With her giant tower shield, you'd expect her to be more slow and methodical, but she's just as fast as everyone else. I'm not sure how to feel about this, since in the past different characters had different weights and flows to them with their attacks, like Persea from Symphonia being a slower attacker than Lloyd since she carries around a giant axe. But every character in the Rise is speedy and is capable of getting right up in the enemy's face to dish out big combos. So Kisara not only has the power of a big damage dealer, but she can move as fast as anyone else. She's also the only character that can block in this game. Yes, there's no more block button anymore, and even with her ability to block, she still pulls off a perfect dodge when done successfully. But it's good for starting combos, so it's not the biggest deal. Now, similarly to Berseria, each character has a special ability unique to them that can affect the way you play them. Alphen can sacrifice his HP to use the burning sword on his back for big damage. Shion has bombs, where if you hold the button they're assigned to, will have an additional effect like a bigger blast radius. Law's ability promotes aggressive play from the player, where if he doesn't get interrupted while attacking, his power will increase. These abilities definitely add another layer to everyone. In addition to these, during combat you can call out anyone to perform an assist attack, as long as their bar in the lower left of the screen is fully charged. These can be helpful when just dealing some extra damage or helping you get out of an enemy's attack. There's also flashy finisher moves that you can perform with a click of the D-pad when an enemy is near death. So far there's only 3 of these, and the novelty kinda wears off quick, but they're nice to see at least the first couple times around. Now, I said assist attacks help you get out of enemies' clutches, but this only applies to normal monsters, which leads into my biggest issue with the combat, and that's bosses themselves. Long story short, bosses in Arise do not flinch or stagger. You can hit them with a 200 hit combo and they will keep on moving and attacking. This means the entire system of knocking enemies into the air to air combo them doesn't even work on bosses, and what attacks you throw at them doesn't matter outside of pure damage. In Tales of Exilio, after a certain number of hits, bosses will automatically break out of your combos and counterattack you, and I hated that there because it broke up the flow of combat, and this is far worse. Now, bosses can have weak spots you can target that when destroyed will make them stop moving for a tiny amount of time so you can land free hits on them, but this doesn't make up for this new feature. And the boss in the demo was big and clunky. I can't imagine how annoying speedy humanoid characters will be in the full release of the game. This change may not seem like a big deal to some, but for me it's a massive bummer, and I can already tell I'm not going to enjoy boss battles in this game. Something else I noticed is that some characters are easy to keep enemies where they need to be with than others. What I mean by this is that when I'm using Alphen and I'm throwing out attacks and juggling the enemy, they stay where they're supposed to be in order for my next attack to connect with. But when I use Law, the enemies seem to go all over the place and my combos get screwed up for the simple fact an enemy drifted too far out of my reach and I'm just left hitting nothing but air. This could be something I have to work on or just bad luck, but if anyone that's played has similar experiences, let me know. Now, like I said in the beginning, there's no real story content in the demo, but you can still get a nice feel for each character, and I think he'll be an interesting group with some nice chemistry. Kisara seems to be the more stern type, but is easy prey for Rinwell's more playful shenanigans. Alphen comes off as your typical earnest but socially oblivious JRPG protagonist, but his dynamic with Shion's more serious nature works from what little I've seen. Law and Dohalim are the ones the jury is still out on, since I didn't see them interact too much with everyone else, but individually they seem fine, with Law being your average hot-blooded battle fanatic, and Dohalim being a member of royalty or noble class, has him of course being more soft-spoken and well-versed in the finer arts. I like this group, but I hope I end up loving them by the end of the full journey. The demo gave a nice look into what we had to look forward to in the final release, and there's more I didn't even touch on, like being able to make your own accessories now, which has a lot of potential, or just how good the game looks graphically, or even the fact that everyone shares a healing art resource now. If you're interested in Tales of Arise, I definitely recommend checking the demo out yourself. It'll be up for every region by tomorrow on the 18th, or you can play it now by having a Japanese or New Zealand PSN account. Hope you guys found my thoughts insightful, and if you have played the demo, let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. Thanks so much for watching guys, I'll see you next time.